Good evening, good evening, good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you're at in the world, or if you're watching this back or listening back to this. Good to see everybody. We're going to be diving in and talking about primarily world indoors today. I'll very briefly talk about Adaeja Hodge and her situation. I have some thoughts for sure. I'd love to hear from anybody else. But yeah, primarily we're going to talk about world indoors today. We'll start off very briefly with Adaeja Hodge and just that, the recent situation of the announcement of, her, already serving suspension. And then we'll move into world indoors and talk about, just previewing some of the sprints, the hurdles, as well as the jumps across the board. That's going to be coming up just this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So March 20th, 21st, and 22nd. It's going to be going down in Poland, which is pretty exciting because that's the track, that Torin track. That's a track that we saw some really, really fast performances, at least on the women's side, which is it bodes well for what we might expect at these World Indoor Championships. And we have some very, very big names. I've already spoken, over the past couple of weeks about the men's 60 and the women's 60 a little bit as well. But now that we have the actual entries, we have all the fields, this is going to be very, very interesting. Yeah, World Indoors came up much, much quicker than you thought, right? Much, much quicker. Yep, World Indoors preview. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna dive in. Good to see you. Good to see you. We'll get started in just about a second. But yep, again, just for context, we're gonna first start off with talking about Adaeja Hodge and the recent situation regarding her ban. And I'm going to dive in, share some thoughts, share some context. And let me be clear, also, all this is my understanding and my opinion as well. Of course, I'm going to share my own opinion as it relates to Adaeja Hodge. And then again, going to then move into the World Indoor Championships and preview, as many events as possible. Of course, primarily focused on those sprints. So that's what we'll dive into. But yeah, good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. I'll have a couple different things let me make sure I can have everything coming up because I wanted to make sure I had my stuff on point for this because this Adaeja Hodge situation is unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate in so many different ways. There is, to me, one single person who is like they are like to blame. In my opinion, they are to blame. But there's a lot to go around in terms of like, disappointment, unfortunately, and then just like confusion and just another kind of, I guess, a blemish on the sport in general, as it relates to Adaeja Hodge and the situation. All right, so we'll get started in just a minute. Let me bring this up. Yeah, I mean, after dominating the NCAA, so after dominating the NCAA indoors is very well disappointing. I mean, yeah, I think optically it's disappointing. But I think based on the context, I think, it is what it is, where, you gotta, I don't know. Anytime you're dealing with a ban or you're dealing with a, someone who, one of these situations, optically, it just isn't great, but it's a little tricky, but all right, so let's go ahead and get started. And I'm gonna share. Sorry, I'm a little bit closer to the camera. I just like changed the side that I'm on for today, but may change it back another time. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So we got to talk about Adaeja Hodge. So Adaeja Hodge, just this past literally just yesterday was announced by the AIU. So let me be very clear, because I know there was like different conversations about why is this all getting announced right now. So the Athletics Integrity Unit, they actually announced it, and I'll actually just bring it up instead of this post, but I'm gonna just circle back. But Athletics Integrity Unit, they announced it, and we as the public had no idea about it until yesterday. But the AIU, they actually announced that Adaeja Hodge had been banned for 2 years from August 2024 all the way up to with 7 months suspended. So they reduced it by 7 months. So instead of going to August 2026, they reduced it by 7 months. So now to January 2026. So just this past January, for the presence of GW 501516, which we'll talk about, and this as well. So all her results from August 2024 were banned in that corresponding time period. So that actually lost her the world U20 gold medal in the 200 from 2024. And also it lost her the silver medal at the World U20s in 2024 as well. So that's kind of when the ban did come up. So again, this suspension was literally just announced by the AIU, and us as a public, we didn't know about it. Now, there was the idea, because of this is very connected to the Osama Singha situation and the whole Gerald Furey situation. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But so people in general had their suspicions and had their kind of like thought process. And also she didn't compete last year. But now it's officially announced. And this is the first time that we're getting the very specific details as it relates to why, she was suspended and kind of the details around there. All right. So just for some initial context, I'm not going to read through the entire document here, but just I'm going to, talk through and provide the different context around here. So Adaeja Hodge, she tested positive at the World U20 Championships, and this was all the way back in August of 2024. And again, what she tested positive for was GW 1516, which is the same thing that Osama Singha, he tested positive for all the way back in 2023 as well. And now we know that he is banned for 4 years, again, for that specific thing. I'll circle back to that, but of course that's related to the whole Gatorade situation, the gummies, et cetera, et cetera. But this is the same substance that, she had tested positive for back in 2024. This is while she was in high school. So she literally had just turned 18 in 2024. And this is Adaeja Hodge, just turned 18 in May of 2024. So while she was in high school, probably, while she was 17, 18, et cetera, et cetera. And as I noted, she was the gold medalist at the World U20 Championships in the 200 and the silver medalist in the 100 meters. So this was a very high point for her. But the very important thing that was noted is that Adaeja Hodge, once she was notified, so on November 2024, they notified her, while she was in Georgia, and immediately, let's see. So the athlete, so Adaeja Hodge, immediately attended an interview with AIU representatives and provided an explanation for the AAF, right? So this was, and essentially providing an explanation for what occurred and everything around there. This is very important because she immediately started cooperating once she did find out. So that includes providing an explanation, providing additional information as well. So she gave additional information to the AIU, and she acknowledged that she, committed the violation, right? Acknowledged that she committed the violation under the corresponding rules. This is all very important because they reduced her ban by 7 months. So the parties agree that a period of 7 months of the otherwise applicable period of ineligibility, et cetera, shall be suspended. So essentially that reduced her 2-year ban from August 2026. It reduced it all the way to January 2026. So that's why we saw her compete throughout the indoor season in 2026, despite receiving a 2-year ban. She got that reduced, again, because of the cooperation that she did provide. So all that context is kind of, is at least important as to what occurred. And again, when this is done, of course, I'll link these documents in the description if you're watching this back. But it's at least some context as to what actually did occur. Also, I encourage you to check out the Citius Mag podcast. Chris Chavez, Kyle Merber, they kind of broke down even more in depth as it relates to Adaeja Hodge's ban and some other things as it relates to the delay and things like that. Now, once this was announced, everybody was kind of up in arms of like, hold up, wait, what? Like, what's going on? Like, people were up in arms and like confused and like, hold up, and surprised and all of that, right? I think the big reason why is because the public, us as the public, didn't know about this. We didn't actually know that she was banned. Again, some people may have assumed for sure based on, the connection with Osama Singha, with Gerald Furey, et cetera, et cetera. Both of them had been suspended, last year and then in previous years. And we didn't see her actually compete all throughout 2025. So it brought questions of like, what? Like, what's going on, right? So that kind of like brought up the questions, but everyone was confused as to why it was only being announced right now. If you just remember back in 2023, 24, when Osama Singa was actually banned, and in Gerald Fury's case, again, I'm going to talk about Gerald Fury in a second. There were two other athletes who were mentioned along with Osama Singa, and we just didn't know the actual athletes. But it turns out that the athletes were, again, Adaeja Hodge here, so this is being announced now, and then you also had Skylar Franklin. So all of them competed at Montverde Academy, down in Florida, and Adaeja Hodge is now at Georgia. Skylar Franklin is at LSU. She also competed this indoor season, but I think she just didn't do as well. So she, of course, wasn't as high profile, and nothing was announced, as from my understanding, regarding Skylar Franklin. But I think we're kind of connecting the dots here. So again, people assume the connection. The other kind of like reason, right, that I think people were up in arms is because we usually, quote unquote, we'll see like a provisional suspension announced when an athlete is banned. So, for example, just a very recent example is Fred Curley last year. So I think it was right before the USA Outdoor Championships, either right before or right after, but at some point, around the USA Outdoor Championships, Fred Curley was announced to be provisionally suspended for whereabouts failures. And then literally just a couple weeks ago, we got the official announcement that he's officially suspended, right? Because he couldn't, fight the case and couldn't, he couldn't prove that he was at the places that he says he was based on the whereabouts situation. So there's usually a provisional suspension that we get, and then we get the actual official suspension if things do follow through. So that's why people were also confused as it relates to this, where it's like, hold up, we're just finding out about the actual, not only the full suspension, but even the fact that there was a provisional suspension, that occurred, back in 2024, right? All of that, right? All of this occurred. So we're finding about the entire process that occurred with Adaeja Hodge just now, like just in 2026, after the ban occurred and after she's already competed, after she already served her ban and stuff like that. So again, all of this is just context as to why the public in general was confused. And yes, I see a couple of y'all saying like it's it's a silent ban, right? And I understand that. I'm definitely going to talk about like the timing. The timing is very, very, I don't know. The timing is interesting. So I don't know. The timing is very interesting. So I think I was looking through some different things, and again, check out Cities Mag podcast. Chris Chavez kind of broke these things down, some of these things down, and then there's some other things that I was looking at. But essentially, the AIU does have certain procedures about not announcing either a provisional suspension or a full, or maybe not a full suspension, but different suspensions at certain times. If either an investigation is going on, if there's like a certain substance, from my understanding, that that an athlete did take. This, in the case as well, it was dealing with an athlete who was underage. So remember, Adaeja Hodge in 2024 was 17, just turned 18. So there's some aspects there, protecting, privacy, all those kinds of things. So there's a couple different reasons as to why they probably did delay any announcement of either a provisional suspension or this full suspension. So as the process was kind of playing out, and there are circumstances where they've done this before. And I'm going to, let me see. I think I do have this up. The AIU did ban, oh no, let me not say that. Okay, well, the AIU did ban Tamara Clark back in 2000 and I think it was 2000. I forget exactly the year, but the AIU did ban Tamara Clark for an IV drip, a little bit above the allowable limit, not for like doping or anything like that, or for cheating, but she did receive a ban for a certain period of time, but it was announced after she had already served. She served like a 4-month ban or something along those lines, and they announced it after. And again, I think there were just some logistical aspects as it relates to why they did announce it after, maybe as it relates to protecting that athlete's privacy for whatever different reason, and or the whatever substance they were actually getting banned for. So again, I'm saying all this to say, like, there are certain reasons why they may delay a ban, or I'm sorry, delay the announcement of the ban. But I guess the question that I have, and I guess the confusion that many people also do have, is this was like way, way, way after kind of everything occurred, right? So I can understand in August, 2024, probably, I can understand. Okay, sure, don't announce it there. Even going into November 2024, understand, right? Not announcing it because you're going through the investigation. Going into January 2025, right? She was, doing interviews still with AIU. So protecting the athlete in different capacities. Again, she's a minor, the substance, like all these kind of things. I can understand that. But then afterwards, so once all, this entire process had already played out, I guess I'm still not sure why they didn't announce anything maybe like mid 2025 or like the end of 2025, right? Like late 2025 or even January 2026 or February 2026, right? Like that's where maybe I don't have real clarity and I don't think many people have actual clarity on why they delayed the announcement until, March 16th, 2026. So yeah, so that's like where I'm again understanding why people are up in arms, but then also I'm still a little confused on the timing of things, of why things weren't announced again like a couple months ago or the end of 2025 after the entire process had played out. That again, I don't know, I don't have the answers to that, but the last thing as it relates to like the delay, because I do want to talk about like people who are at fault, people who are affected, et cetera, et cetera. As it relates to delay, I think many people are like, why did they announce it right after Adaeja Hodge just won the NCAA championships, right? She just got the 200-meter win. She just ran extremely fast. And then literally 2 days later, bang. Here's like the details. Yes, you already served your ban, but like, bang, here's the details for the internet, high profile athlete, et cetera, et cetera. That I actually, to a degree, not that like I agree with them. Again, I would have preferred for this to be announced like sometime last year, but I can understand it. Essentially, I feel like it was a little bit better for it to be announced, let's say now, like after the NCAA championships, as opposed to like right before the NCAA championships. So hypothetically, let's say they announced this like a week ago. I actually don't think that would have been as beneficial because then there would have been a cloud kind of hanging over the NCAA championships and all this negativity, all these kind of side eyes, all those things would have then hovered over not only Adaeja Hodge in general, but then the larger conversation around, whatever in track and field, doping and cheating, et cetera, right? We just saw the D3 athlete, I forget the name, but like the D3 athlete, the distance athlete, where they had that walk off from the podium because they were dealing with, certain things from when they were in D1 and then moved to like those kinds of things, I think would have been more negative for Adaeja Hodge and the NCAA Division I championships than if it was announced now where, okay, sure, it's still not great, but at the end of the day, she's already served her ban. And now, yes, internet is kind of buzzing, it's bubbling, it's going crazy with it. But as we go into the outdoor season towards the end of March and into early April, it will kind of start to die down and then allow an athlete like Adaeja to just focus on that. So, and yes, sorry, Seth Clevenger, right? Thanks for that cross check, Jamie. So yeah, that's where I think it'll essentially takes the cloud that could have hovered over NCAA, and not only just like the idea of Adaeja competing there, but then also just NCAA testing and all this kind of stuff. Like people already have questions about how the NCAA conducts, anti-doping testing and all that kind of stuff, where it's not as in line with like AIU and WADA and all that stuff. So after NCAA, I think it does make a little bit more sense to me. Now, I'm not saying it's great. As I said, I would have preferred it to be announced in the middle of 2025 or the end of 2025, but I can understand it a little bit better being announced after NCAAs. So I don't know. Y'all can agree, y'all can disagree. It is what it is. But that's at least kind of the breakdown as it relates to the delay. But I will say I'm not the AIU, man. I don't know, man. I'm not happy with the AIU. But all that aside, I think the biggest thing here for me, the number one thing, there's a lot of things, but number one, this is the person who is most at fault in this entire situation. Completely most at fault. And I think anything that falls under this between Adaeja Hodge and Skylar and Assam and even the athletes who I'll talk about who are receiving medals, from World U20s, I think this all kind of like circles back up to Gerald Feary. This is Gerald Feary, right? From Zambia, went to Texas A&M, all that stuff. But this is the guy who I think is most at fault. And in my opinion, like he should really be banned for obviously, I mean, definitely forever. And then like, I don't know, other like I don't know, all kinds of legal stuff. Cause like this is really a very, very, very disappointing situation in terms of what he essentially put athletes through. And we're talking about young athletes. We're talking about Osama Singa. We're talking about, Adaeja, Skylar. Like all of these athletes are were extremely young, right? They were in high school, and he was very much at fault for essentially providing and orchestrating certain things. Now, someone noted like, isn't he already banned? So yes, and I think this provides even more context because I think he essentially took advantage of these high school athletes. So in his last year, so Osama Singa had already been banned back in 2023. Last year, so this is March of 2025. So the AIU did eventually ban, well, suspended, and I think there's still provisional suspension. Gerald Fury. So he was a coach as part of an ongoing joint investigation with USADA, triggered by 3 athletes, all coached by Fury, returning adverse analytical findings for the same prohibited substance. So those 3 athletes, as I noted earlier, that was Adaeja Hodge, that was Isama Singa, and that was Skylar Franklin. So again, we kind of know that information now. But the key thing here that's so important, and why this is so clearly orchestrated by Gerald Fury, is for the same prohibited substance. And we have to circle back, because between July 2023 and August 2024, 3 track athletes who we now know tested positive for metabolites of GW1516, right? As we noted there. But at this stage of the investigation, the AIU alleges that Fury had committed anti-doping rules violations for the possession of GW 1516 when he was an athlete in 2018 and 2019. So before we even continue, before we get to his career as a coach, he already possessed this specific this drug, right? He already possessed it. So he, as an athlete, was well aware of this. He was well aware of this before we get to, 5 years later when he's coaching. Well, I'm sorry, 4 years later from 2019 to 2023. Before we get to that point when he has Osama Singa, Skylar, and Adaeja Hodge, he had that as an athlete. And let me see if I can bring this up. Gerald. Yeah, there we go. Gerald Fury. So he had this as an athlete, and you can actually see in his career, he didn't compete. So he competed in 2017, and then he didn't compete in 2018. Why? Because he was under investigation, or I don't know if he was under investigation, but he was at least, notified of certain things. Now, we as the public didn't know about it, but now kind of connecting the dots and going back, we understand why he actually didn't compete in 2018. Then in 2019, he competes much later in the year. Well, he starts in May and then competes in July, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's the end of his career, right? Gerald Fury knew about all this stuff. So now fast forward to him as a coach, and now he's dealing with the athletes, throughout 2023 and into 2024. And this exact same substance is what he's giving, and at least these athletes have now have access to, and they are actually testing positive for, right? That to me is like, it's just so tough. Again, because you're talking about a high school coach, and a high school coach where like these athletes are going to put their trust into their coach, right? We're not talking about professionals. And I understand that people may have different views as it relates to an athlete and their, responsibility for understanding what goes into their system, all that stuff. Of course, understandable. But when you're talking about high school athletes who are like, they just put trust in their coach. Like I remember when I was in high school, running track and all that, I wasn't at the biggest school, whatever, but I just trusted my coach for the most part, because it's like, yo, this is the guy who knows everything, right? This is the guy who knows like what I'm going to be able to do. This is the guy who knows, how I'm going to progress, what, how I should be training, et cetera, right? You're just a teenager. So they were putting their trust into Gerald Fury, and he terribly took advantage of, in my opinion, these kids while they were in high school. So this is why I'm just like, for Gerald, like, again, when he was an athlete, he had this substance, he possessed it, right? Whether or not he used it, who knows, but it is what it is. And then once he retired, he then moved out and became a coach. And now he was, giving it to the different athletes. I know someone's saying like, what about the Gatorade? Yeah, we'll talk about that in one second. So that's why I'm just like, I don't know, that just he I think needs to definitely be, I guess he's like still provisionally suspended. He needs to be fully suspended, and then even more so again because he's actually working with minors, and was dealing with these substances. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm just like with the high school kids, it's like the expectation for them to be like fully in the know is way tougher for me, especially when you have an athlete who had the specific substance and all of them, were given it. And I think this brings up kind of the discussion around high school athletes in general. I guess like you can even talk about NCAA athletes to a degree as well, but just the idea that you know, when you're an athlete, it's a race to the top, right? It's a race or well, yeah, race to the top. I was gonna say something else, but it's a race to the top. So everyone is trying to run as fast as possible. Everyone is trying to beat the other athlete. Everyone is trying to do XYZ. But in high school, that kind of trickles up to the coaches, right? And I'm not like me like saying any accusations or anything, but just the idea that this trickles up to the coaches. So you have a coach like Gerald Ferry here who was probably looking to say, hey, how is it that I can make sure my athletes are keeping up with everyone else, right? How is it that I can make sure my athletes are running as fast as possible? Then how is it that I can make sure myself as a coach, I'm also, benefiting from that success? Oh, there was this thing that I maybe had while I was an athlete. I didn't get caught for it, but I had it. Let me like try this out or see what can actually happen. If the athletes get caught, maybe I won't get caught because I'm the coach. So that the athletes they'll be the ones who get caught, right? I can maybe sneak under the radar. Maybe that's the case, right? Maybe he wanted to further his coaching career and gives his athletes a couple different things, and then they eventually take off. Everyone's in the clear. And look, Gerald Fury is an amazing coach. He was getting a lot of, like, we got to be honest, he was getting a lot of praise while he was coaching these athletes. But it all kind of falls down. It's like a race to the top in terms of like those times, but then it's also a race to the bottom in terms of like, what are we going to do to actually be successful? That's I don't know, probably one of the reasonings, as it relates to, Gerald. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I have a couple different thoughts, but again, it's even amongst like if you're an up and coming, if you're someone who's up and coming, maybe a coach like him, you're seeing like success from like, oh crap, like all these other athletes, all these other coaches are coaching amazing athletes. How can I get into that kind of like field or into that realm where I'm looked at as one of the bigger coaches? Let me like push my athlete to try something. They're still in high school, so I can maybe get away with this. Like that's maybe again hypothetically, or this is just speculation, but maybe this is what Gerald Free was thinking. But I think all that said, I think he needs to be gone. Like I just think he needs to be absolutely gone. So I don't know. That's like what's absolutely terrible. So one thing that I do think about as it relates to this whole situation is why it's unfair to everyone. So Gerald Fury needs to be gone, my opinion. But then everyone below that, the athletes, the system, like it's just completely unfair in terms of what actually did happen to them. So, for example, with Isama Singa, right? He's now sitting out due to a 4-year ban. Like he's sitting out with a 4-year ban from 2023. He's going to come back in 2027. Isama Singa, he lost a chance, and I'm just going to change this real quick. My bad. Isama Singa, he lost a chance to sign and compete at a college. Like he lost that opportunity. He lost a chance for potentially a professional sponsorship. Remember, he ran 9.89 seconds while he was still, in high school. He broke the South American record. Like he was kind of on fire, right? He lost a chance to represent Suriname. This was like weeks before the World Championships in Budapest that year. Like that's when he got banned and suspended. So he lost that opportunity to represent his country at that point, right? All of that. Those are things that he lost due to a 4-year ban. Now, a little connected even before I get to like Adaeja Hodge and Skylar Franklin. I know some of y'all were mentioning the Gatorade situation. Yeah, blamed Gatorade, and Isama Singa sued Gatorade, but he lost the case. I mean, and this I think goes back to why Gerald Fury I think is like pretty bad, because I would not be surprised if Gerald Fury was the one who was supporting the idea of Isama Singa going to Gatorade to sue them for this whole gummy situation, right? Again, Isama Singa is a high school athlete who's a teenager. I don't know if he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take on Gatorade. I'm gonna do this. I mean, obviously we saw like depositions, we saw like videos, we saw kind of different things like that. But obviously he had like lawyers and stuff like that. But I would not be surprised if his coach was like, listen, let's try and fight this, and let's like take it all the way up to Gatorade, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I obviously I don't know like what conversations were going on in the background between them, but they of course did try and go that route. But again, really think about what occurred. Gerald Fury had used this substance, the same substance, or was in possession of the same substance while he was an athlete. While he was an athlete. So the idea of going to Gatorade, again, I don't know, but the idea of going to Gatorade and like blaming them on this specific same substance that you knew about while you were an athlete, I don't know. It just seems so sketchy, so sketchy. So I don't know, but that goes to the potential manipulation, that potential yeah, let's just say potential manipulation from Joe Fury to potentially push, Osama Singa to say, hey, listen, they did you wrong here, but yo, we can go up and sue Gatorade. Like, I don't know. like, I don't know. It's crazy, but that was at least one aspect there. But that's why I feel really, really bad for Osama Singa. Oh, my bad. Was I showing it here? This was the whole Gatorade situation. So yeah. That's why I feel bad for Isama Singa. But yeah, I just don't think him serving a 4-year ban is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But then you have Adaeja Hodge and you have Skylar Franklin, right? Whenever they do announce that. But both of them lost a year of their career, their competitive career. Neither of them competed in 2025. So they lost that entire year. Both of them also have to deal with the ramifications of like, I don't know, the public scrutiny, being looked down upon, having, all that stuff. And then also potentially, again, going back to Gerald Fury, that idea of being taken advantage of at some point, right? Adaeja Hodge, Skylar Franklin, they have to take, they have to deal with those ramifications. Yes, all allegedly, of course. Let me apologies, right? All allegedly for sure. But that's the tough part. But these are the things that I think why it's unfair to Adaeja Hodge and Skylar Franklin, and then Isama Singh as well. Like they all have to deal with those things that specifically occurred. But yes, and then you have others like the World U20 medalists, right? So you have Tori Lewis, you have Shania Douglas, you have Milat, you have Niles, you have Nia Whitburn Goddesson, right? You have a couple different athletes from the World U20 Championships in 2024 who now they move up and get medals, right? Between Tori Lewis, she now gets the gold medal in the 200 and all that. But they don't, of course, get their moment, right? They have to now get their medal awarded to them, years later. They just found out about all these things today. So all these people are like, it sucks for everybody. It really does suck for everybody. I don't think it's like more or less for any other athlete, right? Everyone is going to feel a certain way. And many people are going to feel a certain way. But I don't know. It's just crazy. I think for me personally, Gerald Fury, just like, if you connect the dots, it's like, come on, man. Like this stuff is so crazy. So crazy. Like, I don't know, man, but so crazy. But yeah, so that's that. I think overall though, to just like kind of circle things out and close things out, this overall does suck because it's another case of just like doping conversation in the sport, right? Another case of cheating in some capacity, whether it's, by the coach, by the athlete, by whatever, all that stuff. And even if the athletes were young, right? They were teenagers, they were in high school, right? All that. And in my opinion, at, based on, what we know, at no fault of their own, right? They took something, right? There was something in their body. So I understand how they rightly did serve a ban. Now, I think Osama Singa's ban shouldn't be 4 years. It should be drastically shortened. Like, I don't know. But even though they I guess rightly served a ban to a degree in the sense that they had something in their system. And I understand for the athletes they competed against, back in 2024 and 2023, et cetera, right? They are definitely going to feel a certain way of like, why? I was keep competing against athletes who had something. Again, even in my opinion, I don't think that those athletes have are at really any fault, because I whatever. But I want to probably go off a little bit more, but I'm a chill. Overall, all of this just looks really, really bad, right? It just looks really, really bad, and it's really unfortunate for the sport as a whole. But I think the last thing is just, this is another example of why nuance is so important. Like, or it's so important, but it's almost like impossible when it comes to our sport and when it comes to doping, cheating, bans, provisional suspensions, reprimands, public like all that stuff. Like it's almost impossible to really provide nuance because I think many of us overall do like just like put everything into the same bucket, right? So if you say an athlete was banned, then they were banned, and you don't have that understanding, or the conversation doesn't lead to the nuance of why they were banned or what specifically occurred. So as I said, even though yes, Adaeja Hodge, Osama Singa, right? They had, according to the AIU, they had these this substance in them, but like why did they? And we understand the connection with the coach, et cetera, et cetera. When you talk about other athletes, right, we all know that Marion Jones was banned for steroids, right? And, she went to jail for lying about using the steroids, the clear back in the 2000s, right? But that is a completely different conversation and situation than what we're dealing with, with these young athletes, right? Or different than like, even different than like a Justin Gatlin who took, who had testosterone and was banned for 4 years. That's also different from like Brianna Rollins McNeil. If you remember, she was banned for tampering and modifying like some documents. And I think she was like pregnant at the time, right? There's a nuance there around that case. And I think she just returned, I think this past year. You even have like, again, Shelly Ann Fraser Price, who was banned for using a painkiller, and I think she just didn't file it correctly, but, and it's not like a performance enhancing substance in any capacity, but she did receive a suspension and had to, sit out, 1 year in 2010. But that is very, very different than some of those other cases. Even you have Sha'Carri Richardson and Tara Davis Woodhull, who were banned for cannabis. Again, not performance enhancing, but those are kind of on the list. And even, again, like Christian Coleman or Saweed Nasser, who are banned for whereabouts failures. And again, I bring all these up not to specifically not to group them together. And I specifically kind of noted the different cases as to why each of these athletes were either suspended or reprimanded. But it's to highlight the different nuances, right? It's to highlight how not everything is simply created equal, even though in our sport, I think we fall into the trap of just casually speaking about all these suspensions. And then that's what kind of gets broadcasted out to the ether and into the public. So this is kind of another case of it. And it's really, really disappointing. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's just that's the situation, man. It's disappointing. I think I personally, I guess allegedly, these athletes were, taken advantage of. I don't know. It's like really, really disappointing, man. But because these are high school athletes, man. Osama Singh is sitting out for 4 years. My man lost it's crazy. It's just so crazy. Like, I don't know. Osama Singh could have been like coming back to potentially compete in college. Like, sure, you're always going to have the cloud over your head because of the situation, but it's like, I don't know, man. That was wild. That was very, very disappointing. And this coming out now was like very disappointing in my opinion as well. So, but that is the Adaeja Hodge. So we're gonna move into taking a look at the World Indoor Champs and doing a quick preview there. Let me just bring up some comments here to just take a look at what some people were saying. Let me see. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So, but she's still young though, so hopefully she doesn't lose momentum and get back in the competition. Yeah, I think she'll be fine. Like, I honestly think she'll be fine. And obviously, she knew about this, obviously, because she was going through it. I think like Georgia obviously knew about it because she couldn't compete until a certain time. I think she'll be fine. I think Adaeja is going to be fine. And I actually think most people are probably like on her side in terms of like understanding. I would think so, but I don't know. Okay, so I feel like they announced it to affect any sponsorship deals she can get from winning an NCAA championships. It's despicable. Could be. I don't know, but could be. Again, I think no matter when they announced it, it would have been tricky, but I don't know. Oh my gosh, yeah, I see. So basically, if you cooperate, you will get a lighter ban. If you fight it, you will end up like a Singa. I think it's tough. It is tough, but it does seem like majority of times, if you do cooperate, then you're more likely to get a lighter ban potentially. But I don't know. Okay. They'll announce Skylar's ban when she wins a big race. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I don't like these silent bans at all. It looks shady from AIU's part. Yeah, but I can understand some aspects, but then I also am still confused as to why they delay things for a little bit. So I don't know. Okay. Let's see. I feel bad for Singa. He probably, yeah, I feel bad for Singa. He probably didn't realize the coach was giving him something. He probably would have gotten a lighter ban. Yeah, it's a good point, man. Um, yeah, okay. So, this is what Gabby meant when she said ban. She said, when she said to ban coaches, agents, etc., involved in this. Athletes are not the only people involved in this, and they may not done intentionally. There's too many people in it. Yes, I think Gabby, in my personal opinion, I don't ever think I like really commented. I think Gabby definitely went very, very far where she was like, ban like anybody. Like if you are a coach who ever had anything, if you are or if you work with a coach who had anything like that is like very, very far, because then you're putting a lot of onus on, again, athletes to do the research, and then that also takes away the specific nuance of each of the different situations, right? So, for example, if Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce becomes a coach now in her future, she served some time. Now, the specific nuance is that she took a painkiller that actually specifically is not known as a performance enhancer or a masking agent or anything. Like, it's just for whatever reason, it's on the banned substance list. Same thing with Tara Davis Woodhull or Sha'Carri Richardson. Like, they were banned for cannabis, right? I even remember like Ivory Williams back in the day. Like, but if they become a coach, like, just because of those things, which are not like what Marion Jones or whatever were banned for, like, I don't think that's fair to them or to athletes who work with them. You know what I'm saying? So I think the nuance is very, very important. So yeah, I think Gabby went a little far on that. I guess I understood her sentiment, but I just think it was like a little too far. Okay. All right. So let me just see. Let me see some of these other comments. Okay. Yeah. Again, Gerald Fury, man, I think he needs to be he's provisionally suspended for now. I think he needs to be like fully suspended. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he needs to be fully suspended. Anderson, does the NCAA test for these drugs? I don't know, but I know the NCAA does certain levels of testing, but it's not up to like the standard that, from my understanding, like AIU, WADA, etc. does. But I don't know. And NCAA is, they have their own system and whatever, but it's a good question. All right. Okay. All right. Some of the conversations. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of, my bad, yeah. I know I'm doing a lot of speculations, but listen, connect the dots, allegedly. Let me be clear. All this is allegedly. I don't know. I know. I'm realizing I'm live as opposed to like just doing a regular video. Okay. And yes, appreciate y'all. If you're in here, do like the video. And if you're not already, subscribe to the channel. So like this live. It definitely helps it out. I've been, again, pretty consistent with these lives. I haven't been doing as many videos. I do have a video coming out, hopefully before World Indoors, just about the why the 200 is no longer run. So we gonna hopefully get that out by tomorrow, or what's tomorrow, Wednesday? So by Thursday, maybe. We'll see. All right. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in. Yes, 3 days for World Indoor Champ. So World Indoor Championships is going down this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If timing works out, I'm gonna be a little busy, I think, on Friday. But if timing works out, I'm gonna probably go live on Friday after the World Indoor Championships, after the 60 meters. So stay tuned for that. TBD. What happened to the Irina vid? Yes. It's crazy. It's already recorded. I'm actually probably going to edit it and put it out after the World Indoor Championships, in case Julian Alfred or Zainab Dosa or somebody, let's just say somebody breaks the World Indoor record. I'll put it out afterwards. I'll do some edits because she got the World Indoor record. So, we'll see. But yes, TBD. My bad, y'all. Just been a little busy. But I appreciate y'all. That's why I've been trying to go live, so I can at least like talk stuff, even though I can't get certain videos out. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dive into the World Indoor Championships and do a quick preview of the different events between the field and then in the hurdles and the sprints. I'm going to start off with the field because, I won't spend as much time there. And then I'll end off with the sprints, of course, the 60 meters, of course, because that's the high profile. But as I kind of like dip into different events, let me know what which athletes you think are really going to be the key athletes to keep an eye out for. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First off, is just the men's high jump. So overall, this is an interesting competition across the board. You do have six men, one, two, three, four, five, six. Oh, my bad, seven men who have gone over 2.30 meters this year. So really good depth when talking about the men's high jump. You have Woo Sang-gyok. He's a reigning world indoor champion from 2025. You have Raymond Richards. He won the bronze medal in 2025, so he's in that conversation. You also have, who am I looking at? Oh yeah, Stefla. So Jan Stefla, he's a world leader right now, and he won the bronze medal at the World Outdoor Championships last year. So you have a couple different names who are in the mix for the men's high jump, but overall, I think pretty good for the most part. On the women's high jump side, this is where I think you have Yaroslava Mahuchik, you have Eleanor Patterson, and you have Nicola Olaslagers. Also, shout out to Levchenko. This is a pretty good field. You have Lamar Disson. I do like this field. Vashti Cunningham, 2016 World Indoor Champion. But when you're talking about, the leaders, Olaslagers, so she's the defending champion from 2024 and 2025. You have Eleanor Patterson, who got the silver medals in 2025 and 2022. And then you have Yaroslava Mahuchik. So she got the bronze medal last year. She won the gold medal in 2022 and then the silver in 2024. So those are kind of the women, I'm keeping an eye out for. Again, a couple other women, Angelina Topic is very, very strong in the competition as well. So women's high jump, men's high jump, definitely keep an eye out for them. We'll see how those actually do play out. The pole vault, let's talk about the women's pole vault very quickly. Should be competitive across the board. So you're looking at all these women who have jumped either 480, 470 in that range. Eliza McCartney, she was a silver medalist from last year. I think you have Bonin. Who am I looking at? Yeah, Bonin is the gold medalist from last year, so the defending world indoor champion. And then you also have a couple other women in the conversation. You have Molly Kadri, who's the 2024 world indoor gold medalist. You have Tina Sute, who got the silver medal from last year. So, both multiple women all kind of mixed in the fold in terms of who can actually take, the gold medal. And I think it's going to be very, very competitive. I think even Moser, she was the bronze medalist from last year. So pole vault for the women, very, very competitive. Triple jump. Let me bring up the triple jump because the men's triple jump, a little light for my taste. But we're talking about Yasser Tricky. He's leading the world right now with the 735. He's going to be in the conversation. Jordan Scott, he was fourth place. He's going to be in the conversation. Su Wen, he's tied in terms of 711 for the year with Jordan Scott. He's definitely going to be in that conversation. I think it's pretty unpredictable though. You do have Andy Diaz Hernandez. He's a defending champion from last year. He had a kind of mixed outdoor season and all that, but we gonna see what actually does play out. But again, anything can actually happen. And shout out to Jordan Diaz Hernandez. He's the Olympic champion from 2024. He's not here. He was injured last year. I saw that he is moving to K-State. So he's going to be training down at K-State. So that's the same kind of coaching group that has Tara Davis Woodhall, Carrie McLeod, Wayne Pinnock, Jaden Hibbert. Like that's that group. That's like the coach, Travis. He was at Arkansas and he moved to K-State because he's the director of track and field. So the triple jumper, Olympic champion in the triple jump from 2024. He's actually training there. It's crazy. But yeah, all right. So let's talk about the men's pole vault now very quickly. Mondo Duplantis, he's by far the favorite. So he's going to be the guy to look out for. Like he's going to be chasing the world record. I think like in general, it's like the questions around Mondo is, can anyone behind him actually get close? Right. And then how high can other people jump? So we did see Corrales. He did jump 6.17 meters this year. But I think, and I put out a small video on this where after Mondo broke the world record of 631, where Corrales isn't yet competition for Mondo Duplantis. Because it's one thing to do a one-off jump of 617. His previous best was 608. But then it's a different thing to be a Mondo Duplantis who is consistently jumping 620 or 6'1", 620, and then going up now to 630s, like consistently jumping it, right? That's what would put someone into that conversation of being competitive. So for now, Corrales is not competitive. And I think in the most recent competition, Corrales finished 7th place, like amongst all the other pole vaulters. So we're not seeing that consistency yet, but I do think the field is going to be very, very deep, where we've seen now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys over the 6 meter barrier. Could we see a competition where either 4 to 5 guys actually do jump over 6 meters? I think the most ever is only 3 guys over 6 meters in one competition. Could we see here? And even though I'm talking about Corrales not being competitive, to Mondo at least, could we see Corrales get over this, right? Could he jump 620? Or could we see someone else jump 6'1", right? That's what I'm looking for in the men's pole vault overall. I think it's going to be, this is one of the events I'm very, very excited for. So keep a lookout for that. Women's triple jump. Women's triple jump, much, much more high quality than the men's triple jump, all due respect. This is the competition that I don't know, most triple jump is my favorite event next to like the 200, the 400, et cetera, et cetera. But like triple jump is going to be very exciting. Yulimar Rojas, the GOAT of the triple jump. She, of course, got the bronze medal last year at the World Outdoor Championships 2025 after dealing with an Achilles injury and getting surgery at the top of 2024, keeping her out that entire year. But now she's back. She's already jumped 14.95, a world leading performance. She is now going into the World Indoor Champs, trying to get a fourth gold medal at the World Indoor Champs. She's already has 3 gold medals, which no one has ever done before. She is just going to continue her kind of GOAT reign. And how far over 15 meters can she actually get? Now, her closest competition would be Lianis Perez-Hernandez and Thea Lafon. I think those are the 2 other women who really you should keep an eye out for. Perez-Hernandez is the 2025 World Indoor Champion. Thea Lafon is the 2024 World Indoor Champion. So, and both of them, Perez-Hernandez, she jumped 14.75. I think she also jumped 14.6 this year. And then Thea Lafon, she jumped 14.6. And both of them have medaled at the past global championships as well. Thea Lafon, Olympic champion. Lianis Perez-Hernandez, World Outdoor Champion. So, and Thea medaled last year as well, outdoor. So listen, triple jump, going to be competitive. Shout out to all the other women as well, between Sally Saar, between Ivana Spanovich, who's, switched over from the long jump. Jasmine Moore is in this conversation. Charisma Taylor, Lidamis Povea, who got the silver medal last year. So this is a good field. Again, shout out to the triple jump, but I know it's not as flashy, so we're going to move on. We got the men's long jump. This is a very, very good competition. The men's long jump is very, very good, right? You're looking at Sarah Boykov, who leads the world with 8.45 meters, right? He also jumped 8.42 meters earlier this year as well. So he is the world leader. But then you have Mattia Furlani, who's the defending world indoor champion. He's only jumped 8.39, but the one time that him and Sarah Boykov went head to head, Mattia Furlani actually beat him out, jumping this 8.39. So we're looking at a very good competition. And again, Mattia Furlani is the defending world indoor champion and the world outdoor champion. So this is going to be a very, very, very good competition that I'm excited for. But then what can Miltiades Sensibu do, right? He's essentially one of the most dominant long jumpers in history. Yes, he took a step back last year, dealing with, different things between, I think, injury and sponsor change, et cetera, et cetera. Listen, he could be in this conversation. I think he's jumped he jumped 827. He jumped 8.2 meters and 8.1 a couple times this year. So we'll see what he's able to do. Can he spoil the party? Can he get back to some of his old form, right? Those 8.6s, those 8.5s. Who knows? Shout out to Balde. I know I may pronounce this incorrectly. I apologize. From Portugal. He did jump 832 this year, but he has not been consistent. So I can't say that I'm likely to see him in that conversation, because I think his next best jump is 8.1 meters, and then it drops down to 8.0 meters. So not consistent enough for me to say he's in the conversation, but hey, anything can happen. And then you have Liam Adcock, you have Kerry McLeod, who got the bronze medal in 2024, I think, at the World Indoor Champs. And Tajay Gale is in here. Shout out to my man, Luvo Menyonga from South Africa, having a resurgence in the long jump. He is going to be here, right? You have Stephen McCarter from the United States, Jeremiah Davis, right? Tobias Montler. So this is a good long jump field. We didn't see Cordell Tinch. He didn't qualify. He didn't win USAs or get in the top 2. So he unfortunately was pushed out despite having jumped 8.29. But I like this long jump competition at World Indoors. And then before we get to the track, we do have the women's long jump. Shout out to Agata de Sousa as well as Larissa Apacino, both of them having jumped 6.9 meters this year. And then also their second best jump from both of them is also 6.86 meters, I think, this year. So they've shown some consistency. Larissa Apacino, the podium, both indoors and outdoors, has been elusive. She's never gotten onto it yet, despite being very consistent across the board. So I don't know. Will this be the year that she actually does it? Not sure, because between De Sousa, you also have Jasmine Moore. Jasmine Moore has jumped 6.86 meters on 2 different occasions this year. So she's going to be in the fight. Monet Nichols, she jumped 6.85 meters. She's a world indoor silver medalist from 2024. She's going to be in this conversation, right? Shout out to Tyra Giddens from Trinidad and Tobago. I like this competition for the women. So very excited to see how this does play out. And yes, as it relates to the men's long jump, so I can see an 8.5 meter jump happening in the long jump. I agree. I agree. And I would not be, I definitely agree. I would not be surprised if two guys get over 8.5. I would not be surprised, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. So let's get into the track and talk about the women's. Let me just bring this up. Yeah. Let's talk about the women's hurdles, the men's hurdles, and then we'll talk about those 60s or the 400s and 60s. Very, this is so competitive. All these different, all the events from now on the track, all of them are competitive. Yes, I'm going to talk about times and all that stuff, but like the head-to-head matchups here, in my opinion, are insane. Devin Charlton is a two-time defending world indoor champion, right? She's already run 7.77 meter seconds this year. She has the world record at 7.6, right? But she is going to have a very, very tough, race to go up against, field to go up against in this race, right? Just like she did last year, winning it by just an edge. You have Adaeja Hodge, who's a world outdoor champion in 100-meter hurdles. She won the silver medal, I think, last year. 2025, she got the silver medal. She's going to be looking to potentially get that gold medal. Nadine Visser, she got the bronze medal all the way back in 2018, and she has already been running 7.78 this year. She's going to be looking to get on the podium, back on the podium. Pia Skrzydlowska, she has been consistent in 2025. She got the bronze, silver? She got bronze in 2024. And she missed the podium last year. She got fourth last year. That's what it was. So she's going to be looking to get back on the podium and really upgrade things, potentially get a gold, right? You have Aaliyah Armstrong from the United States. She's going to be in here. Megan Simmons, apologize for the background noise. Megan Simmons, right? She has really popped off, set a personal best this year. She's going to be in that conversation. Like, this is a very, very, very good field. And it's likely going to take 7 low, if not 7.6, to actually win the title. Do not sleep on the competition here. Do not sleep. Last year, I think the top like 6 women were separated by like 200ths or 300ths of a second. Like, it was insane. So shout out to the women's 60-meter hurdles. On the men's side, this is also just as good. Just as good. You have 3 men this year: Jakob Szymanski, Dylan Beard, and Trey Cunningham. All of them have run 7.37 seconds. All of them personal best. Like, this is going to be big. I'm excited to see how this actually does play out. Szymanski individually, he dominated the European circuit. Then you had Trey Cunningham. He kind of dominated the US circuit early on. And then Dylan Beard, he won USA indoors, right? And all of them were that 7.37. Competitive, man, competitive. And then behind them, you can look at a whole bunch of athletes who are potentially going to spoil the party, right? Between Belosian, between Enrique Lopez, right? Like, this is a very competitive field across the board. I like these 60-meter hurdles. I like this. I know Grant Holloway isn't here, and he my bad if I'm talking mad fast. I know Grant Holloway isn't here, and he's super, super competitive. He's the most dominant athlete in the world, but I think this makes things like so much more competitive and so much more interesting to a degree, because it's like, who knows who will actually win, right? Who knows who will actually win? So that's the men's 60-meter hurdles. 400s, again, appreciate y'all on the comments for sure as well. So the women's 60-meter hurdles and 60 meters are probably the most unpredictable to predict the podium. So many contenders that could win or medal. 100% agree. Especially that 60-meter hurdles, man. The 60-meter hurdles. Like, I'll talk about the Botswana and the 4x and US and the 4x4 later on. But yeah, good call out there. So last on just the 400 meters, Kayla McRae, Christopher Miles Williams on the men's side in the 400, both of them going head to head for the first time in 2026. Kayla McRae, he ran 44.52 seconds to unofficially set the world record. I think it will be ratified, so we'll see what actually does happen. Christopher Miles Williams, remember, he previously set the world record, but it couldn't be ratified back in 2024. But he has run 44.80 and I think 44.84 this year. So he's been very, very consistent in the 44-second range. Kayla McRae, he's coming for the gold medal, but Christopher Miles Williams, he's coming for the gold medal. And Christopher Miles Williams is kind of having like a resurgence to a degree, like resurgence to a degree. Molnar from Hungary, I'll be interested to see if he's able to get under the barrier. Oops. Oh, sorry. Hopefully my connection stayed. I think my screen went out for a second. But Molnar, it'll be interesting to see if he's able to get under the 45-second barrier and actually challenge for the podium. But you also have guys like, sorry, I don't know why my screen keeps going out. hopefully it'll stick through. Apologize for that. But in the 400, you have guys like Chris Robinson, you have Delano Kennedy, although he ran his, and as well as Lima, both of them ran their times outdoors, so it's not the same. Oh man, sorry, y'all. Let me see. I'm not sure why my screen unfortunately keeps going out, but we gonna push through. I think I'm having some sort of connection issue. Let me see. Huh. Give me 1 second. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Apologies. All right. Yeah. I think it should be good. All right. Apologies about that. I don't know well, I do know what my connection was just my internet went out. I have no idea, but we gonna roll through. We gonna roll through. Appreciate y'all for holding through. Um, yeah, we'll see if we should be good. Okay, appreciate y'all, man. Connection. I don't know. Yes, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. Okay, so I want to get to these 60 meters real quick, but men's 400. This is really a story of Kayla McRae versus Chris Morales Williams. We'll see how that actually does pan out. And then on the women's side in the 400, you do have this is actually a pretty good competitive race, I'll say. Henriette Jaeger, Emma Zaplatilova, Natalia Bukowiecka, Lieke Klaver. Like this is actually a good race that I think people should keep an eye out for. So Henriette Jaeger, she got the bronze medal last year in 2024. 2025 at the World Indoor Champs, and she leads the world now at 50.62. She is someone you should look out for. Emma Zaplatilova, she is the 400 meter hurdle bronze medalist from last year at the World Outdoor Championships, but she's been making waves indoors in the 400. She's number 2 in the world. She's someone you should look out for. Natalia Bukowiecka, we know her as the Olympic bronze medalist in the 400, and she's run 48 seconds, I think, on 3 different occasions throughout 2024. She got 4th place at the World Championships last year in that crazy, 400 meter race with Sydney, Paulino, and Nasser. She's someone you should look out for. Lieke Klaver, silver medalist at the World Indoors in 2024 behind Femke Bol. Now, she, of course, hasn't had the greatest past couple seasons, both 2024, 2025, and then, of course, indoors, even now, she hasn't had the greatest season. This 51 flat was run relatively early in the year. So we'll see. But I like the competition here. I like the competition amongst these 4 women. I'm very intrigued. And that's to say nothing of all the other women as well, right? Shout out to Rosie Effiong, shout out to Bailey Lear, Yemi Mary John, and all the other women, amongst the field as well. But this is exciting. Top 4 for sure. And yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a sub 50 in the women's 400. Some of the women have looked good this season. I agree. I know we're kind of well overdue for a sub 50, but I think this could be the time where we actually do see it. So that will be something to look out for. All right, so let's talk about these 60 meters. And I'm going to start off with the women. Let's start off with the women's side first. So women's 60 meters, because I did speak more recently about the men, but we'll talk about that as well. But let's talk about the women, because I think, so in my opinion, as I've said many times myself, that I think Julian Alfred is the favorite and in general is the clear favorite. But when I say she's a clear favorite, I don't mean that she is 100% going to win the gold medal and no one is going to be able to take her down. No, not even close. I think that Julian Alfred is going to be pushed. She's very likely going to be pushed. I think the question is, will she win gold? And then can she break the world record? So the world record is 6.92 seconds set by Irina Privalova. Again, the video is going to come out soon at some point, all the way back in 1993. So could Julian Alfred, she's spoken about, wanting to get that record. Could she actually do it? Maybe, but she has to be very careful because this field is going to push her, right? In 2024, and let me see if I can actually bring this up for the women, where Julian Alfred in 2024, she was actually pushed by, no, it's all good. So just for context, Julian Alfred in 2024 at the World Indoor Champs, she got the gold medal. That year, Iwa Swoboda had actually run 6.98 seconds. And she ran it earlier that year. And then she ran it in the semifinals at the World Indoor Championships. Into the final, Swoboda was the leader. She was the main, she was the fastest woman entering the final at the 2024 World Indoor Champs. Now, of course, we know Julian Alfred did go on to win that gold medal, and she ran 6.9 to win that gold medal. Swoboda kind of did it a step back. But it's like that mental aspect of, oh, crap, Swoboda is coming. Swoboda is capable of running sub 7. I need to be on my toes. I need to be making sure that I'm on point, or else I'm not going to get this gold medal. That's what I think Julian Alfred is up against right now at these World Indoor Championships. I really think it's going to be very competitive for her. And when you look at the field, like, this field is deep. Like, we can see this entire field is deep, is very, very deep. Again, yes, even if I do think Alfred is the favorite, This is deep. Zainab Doso, 6.99 seconds earlier this year. And she has consistently been running 7.0s along with that, right? She got the silver medal at World Indoors last year. She got the bronze medal at World Indoors in 2024 behind Julian Alfred and Iwa Swoboda. So she is looking to get the gold medal. Can she be the one to sneak past Julian Alfred? Can she be the one to hit a flyer and be like, yo, remember Mujika Kumbunji 2022, where she, out of lane 9 runs 6.9, what she runs, 6.96 seconds? Maybe Zainab Doso, this is her time. Who knows, right? If she catches Julian Alfred slipping, this might be her moment. But then you have Patricia van der Weeken. Patricia van der Weeken got the bronze medal at World Indoors last year. Could she step things up, right? Could she find a way to get under the 7-second barrier for the first time? And I didn't even mention this. Remember where Zainab Doso, Patricia van der Weeken, Amy Hunt, remember where they ran these personal bests? This is that same track. This is the exact same track in Poland. So we're about to get Julian Alfred. Okay, so anyway, listen, Patricia van der Weeken, she's looking to really, pull something, right? Can she get on the podium again? Maybe beat, Zainab Doso. Jaisa Sears. Now, Jaisa Sears is an interesting case because she has consistently been in the 7.0 range, right? And this is going to be her first individual global championships, right? So remember, she made the relay team for the US Team USA to World Outdoor Champs last year, but this is her first individual championship. She didn't go to World, she qualified, but she didn't go to World Indoors last year. She's going to look to really prove herself as like, this is my time on the big stage. I'm the top American. Can I actually show up? I don't know. That's going to be a question. Amy Hunt. Last year, Amy Hunt was 5th place at the World Indoor Champs. She set a big personal best of 7.04. She's looking to get into that conversation, right? Zainab Doso and Patricia van der Weeken, they've kind of pulled away from her a little bit. But can Amy Hunt reassert herself and be like, nah, I am still in this conversation? Jonelle Smith, right? Jonelle Smith, don't worry, I'll get to y'all comments in a second, but Jonelle Smith, she's been having the season of her life, a resurgence after a time away due to, injury, recovery, all that. She is coming in to really almost cap off a dream season, right? It's been a legendary indoor season for her. Can she actually get on the podium? Dina Asher-Smith, this field is stacked. Dina Asher-Smith is competing in her first indoor season in the 60 meters since 2023, right? And now she's trying to get on the podium. She is trying to not only get on the podium, she's trying to get a gold medal. I feel like she has some untapped potential here, right? Yes, she runs 7.05, and it's crazy to say that Dina Asher-Smith is ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She's 7th in terms of time indoors, and she might be outside of Julian Alfred the biggest name. If anything, she arguably maybe even bigger, right? Considering she's from Great Britain, considering she's been more of a veteran in the sport to a degree, and she's 7th here with 7.05, but she has more potential, right? And that's to say nothing of Iwa Swoboda. That's to say nothing of Brianna Liston, right? What are we doing? Asia Del Ponte, Zoe Hobbs. Do you see this field? This women's 60-meter field is stacked, is absolutely stacked. I'm definitely keeping an eye out for Brianna Liston. Don't sleep on Brianna Liston. All these women, and I know I'm just kind of talking through, but it's look at all these women who have run 7.07 or faster this year. All these women. You're talking about what, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 women who have run 7.07 seconds or faster this year. This field is stacked. So we're going to see how this actually does play out. Again, I do think that Julian Alfred is a favorite. And I do want to say it's I feel like I want to say clear favorite, but I don't want clear favorite to sound like, oh, this is Mondo Duplantis, where it's she has to make a drastic mistake to lose. Nah, Julian Alfred could actually lose this race. She could lose this race. So it's not going to be a surefire. It's not going to be a surefire. No, Tina Clayton is not running. Each country only gets 2 athletes in each event, except unless you have a wild card or whatever. But Tina Clayton is the reserve for Jamaica. So in the event that Jonelle Smith or Brianna Liston pulls out for whatever reason, then Tina Clayton would be racing. But she's not running. So yeah, I don't know. Let me just circle back with some of your comments before I circle back to talk about the men, because the field is deep, y'all. The field is deep. The field is so deep. Yeah, good to see Adaeja Del Ponte back on the scene, running now after years of injury following her Olympic breakout in 2020. Yeah, good point. In 2020, I remember that. Yeah, in Tokyo, she made the final along with Mujinga Kambunji. And then, yeah, she had dealt with injuries. Good point. Good call out there. Even as I said her name, I was like, oh, yeah, but yeah, no, that's a good point. Julian Alfred might have a chance. Oh, yeah. I mean, as I said, I think she's the favorite. I think she's the clear favorite in terms of like, if you're picking a woman to win the gold medal, it's hard to bet against Julian Alfred. But you also have to be very clear that Zainab Doso, Patricia Van der Weeken, JCC, like all these names, you know, every woman who's run 707 or better, and maybe even some others, they are in this conversation as well. So Julian Alfred can get caught slipping if she's not careful. So who knows? So I feel you. Jonah Smith with the will pull the upset. Listen, I'm mad at it. I really do believe that any of these women can win this title, and any of these women can be on the podium. It's that competitive. I think for me, the only surprise would be if Julian Alfred is not on the podium. That's just for me personally. If she's not on the podium, then that would be a surprise for me. But like, it's so competitive. This is a competitive field, y'all. Like, what are we looking at? Julie needs to run 6.96 or faster to solidify herself the gold, because a mistake with her start could completely take out of contention in the final. Multiple women look primed to run sub 7. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, you know, let's be clear. All the women, Zainab Doso, Patricia Van der Weeken, you know, Dean Asher-Smith used to train with Julian Alfred. Like, they know that Julian Alfred is kind of like the top name here. They've, you know, heard her speak about and come close to the world record. They know all these things. And someone like Zainab Doso, she knows, okay, outdoors, I may not be that top woman, but this is my realm. This is my opportunity to really, you know, assert myself. If I catch the perfect race, but then Julian Alfred, you know, has a race like she had at the Tyson Invite where she got a slow start but still ran, you know, what was it, 6.9? If she has a race like that, she's not going to win. But Zainab Doso, she's going to be, you know, she's going to try her best to be absolutely perfect here, right? You have someone like Amy Hunt, right, who's coming in here as kind of like overlooked a little bit. She's trying to get on this podium. Brianna Liston, who's really just, you know, having a comeback in terms of like injury and in her first year as a pro. She's trying to get on the podium. Listen, y'all, this is competitive. So I completely agree, right? This will be a great race. Listen, I'm mad. Van der Weeken, Zainab Doso, Dean Asher-Smith, Sears. Like, yeah, Jason's like, yo, this is competitive. Oh, man. Yeah, so I agree with both of y'all. Like, she just needs to hit that start, and then that will be, she'll be on point. Janelle Smith, too strong. Oh, deep. Wish they had 10 lanes on the track. Imagine. Yeah, I can't even make predictions because it's so stacked. Ugh, man, it's like, again, the only thing that I feel confident saying is that Julian Alfred will get a medal. I do think she's going to get gold, but that's the only thing I feel confident saying. And sorry, I'm not doing predictions. I can't. I didn't. Yeah, I don't know. Brianna Liston is a future. Yep, she's making some very, very good strides right now. I hope when outdoors hit, Van der Weeken, my bad. When outdoors hits, Van der Weeken focuses more on the 200 this season. I think with her size, she'd benefit. I think she'd benefit definitely if she ran some 200s for sure. Rooting for the Doso upset just for the chaos. For the chaos, yeah, come on. Okay, this is a good question. Wonder which Brit will get the 703 record. Who do you think? Man, I think part of me wants to say Dean Asher-Smith only because, my actual answer is I don't know. But my, I guess, real answer is I'm going to say Dean Asher-Smith only because I do think Dean Asher-Smith is more primed to do better against this competition just because of her experience. You know, she won her races indoors this year. And she won World Indoor. She won your British Indoor Champs. She beat out Amy Hunt. So, like, I think that she's going to beat Amy Hunt in this race. Okay. So I was going to say, I think both of them will PR, but then once we talk about running faster, then it's like, we're just talking about a bunch of women at 7.0 or better. Like, I don't know. 2022 World Indoors, we saw 2 women go under the 7-second barrier. right? We saw Mujinga Kambunji and oh my gosh, Makai Briscoe go under as well. So could we see that now? But yes, I think Dean Asher Smith to answer your question. So we'll see. But yeah. My top three, Julian, Jace's, Dina. Not mad at it. Not mad at it. Nobody beating Juju. Hey, like I said, I think she's my favorite. So we'll see. We'll see. Yep. So you think Dean Asher Smith as well? Yeah, Dean Asher Smith could be the one to get the British record. Yep, I like it. If someone runs 9.6 or faster and beats Julian to the title, chaos might ensue. And Julian missing the podium for a classic meltdown. Oh my gosh. If someone runs 6.96 or faster, but the thing is, it's possible, right? Like, it is very, very possible. We are getting to that realm. If we just saw, well, not just saw, but 2022, Mujinga Kambunji just ran 6.96 seconds to win the gold medal. And I think that field was tough. But this is a much better field than what we've seen over the past couple of years at World Indoors. I think this is probably the best World Indoor field that we've seen since probably 2018, where we saw Elaine Thompson-Herah, we saw Elaine Thompson-Herah was there, right? I think Daphne Skippers. No, I think Daphne Skippers might have been there. We saw Muriel Hure. We saw Marie-José Talou. Like, that was a competitive field. So this might be one of the best fields. I don't know, but yeah. Oh man, at least three. You said at least 3 sub-7s in the final, meaning we could see 4. Like, maybe at least 3 sub-7s in the final for the women's 60. Could be. Yeah, all these athletes have something to prove to make the podium. All of them. Completely agree. Oh, nice. Jessica Lawrence of the Philippines is in the race. Oh, nice. Where we at? Am I missing? There we go. Jessica Lawrence. Nice. Okay, there we go. Philippine representation. Big there. There you go. I like it. Dina already owns the 703 record, and just the way Dina runs is better open 60 meter than Amy, despite Amy running slightly faster than Dina. Dina, though, Amy has ran more, I think. Yeah, I agree, right? I think Dina probably has a slight edge when looking forward, but we'll see. I know. Saturday, the photo finish will be crazy for the medals. Hurry up, Saturday, or no, it's going to be on Saturday. So the men is all on Friday, and then the women are all on Saturday. So it's 3 heats on one day for the 60 meters. So yeah, we gonna see. Nice. And yeah, Jessica Lawrence. I say Dina 6.99 to set a new British record. I ain't mad at it. But again, this field is so deep. Anything can happen. So yes, that's it. All right, so let's finish off with the men's 60 meters. This, of course, is, I've spoken about it a little bit already, but this, I think, overall, I think there's some sleepers here, despite most of the top names being known, right? So, for example, Jordan Anthony, he's the world leader, 6.43 seconds. He also ran 6.45, and he's run 6.51 on 2 different occasions. I think the expectations around Jordan Anthony are a little bit mixed. I think it's a little bit mixed, and it's interesting here. So, for example, if Jordan Anthony wins the gold medal, or he just medals in any capacity, I think people, for the most part, will celebrate, and they'll kind of project out what he'll do in the 100 meters, because this is his first major championships, right? He's only been to USA outdoors and then USA indoors, right? And then, of course, NCAAs. So if he finds a way to get on the podium, which he very likely should, then I think people will celebrate it no matter what. Now, I know some people will say that if he doesn't win gold, then, it's a letdown. But me personally, I don't look at that. His first global championships going up against a very stacked field. I think if he gets on the podium, that's going to be a good springboard to what he's capable of doing when we get to the outdoor season. So I think there's that. But on the flip side, if he doesn't win a medal, so if Jordan Anthony does not win a medal at these World Indoor Championships after being the world leader, after running, 6.4 on multiple occasions this year, I think people will say that he didn't live up to the expectations, that he didn't live up to the hype, and that maybe he can't perform, on the biggest stages. Now, granted, again, I personally won't say that because this is his first global championships, but I do think that people will kind of question, oh, can he do it at the big moments, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, he only runs fast at certain times, but can't do it, et cetera. I don't know. But again, his first indoor global championships, I think that, this is going to be good for, let me see. let me just pull this up. But yeah, this is going to be good for Jordan Anthony. I think we'll see how it actually does play out. But he's gonna be good. All right, so after that, we do have Kashane Thompson. So Kashane Thompson, 6'4", outdoors, but he's run 6'5", indoors this year. I think he has a spotlight. He has a spotlight out of any other athlete in his field because of his name, because he's the Olympic silver medalist and the World Championship silver medalist, because of what he's done outdoors. He's run the 9.75, he's run the 9.77, right? He's run the 9.79. Like he has those outdoor times, and now competing at his first World Indoor Championships, that kind of brings the attention of like, okay, what is it that you can actually do? People are almost like projecting his outdoor, talent and performances over to his indoor, performances. For me personally, and I'm always very vocal about this, I don't equate outdoor 60 performances to indoor 60 performances. So I'm not sure I have as high of expectations for Kashane Thompson here, because I'm just not sure if 6'4", I think he's capable of 6'4", but he hasn't shown me anything to indicate that he is definitely a 6'4" runner, right? Because I haven't seen him do it indoors yet, right? I hope y'all can kind of understand that distinction. Again, I do believe he is capable of 6'4", but I haven't yet seen anything to indicate that he definitely can run, or he definitely will run 6'4" indoors. Very likely could, because the field is competitive and it's likely going to take 6'4" to not only win gold, but potentially medal. So we'll see. But Kashane Thompson, I think he has the most spotlight, and there's going to be the biggest narrative around him, depending on what he does or doesn't do. So I don't know. That's what we'll see. After that, you got Trayvon Bromell. Now, Trayvon Bromell, I think he's the first sleeper in this field because he's the veteran of the group. He's a gold medalist from 2016, so literally a decade ago, right? If he wins this gold medal, I think if he wins a medal of any color between gold, silver, or bronze, that will be big for Trayvon, considering everything that he's been through, right? Again, 10 years after dealing with all these injury setbacks, all that stuff. So if he wins a medal of any color, that would be very big. If he wins gold, that might be huge, right? That might be massive, because you're talking about, I actually tried to look this up. I couldn't find any athlete individually indoors in the 60 meters, but definitely not even, well, there's some athletes outdoors for sure, but like I was trying to find an athlete who's won a gold medal 10 years after their first gold medal. So for example, Justin Gatlin, he won a gold medal in 2000. He won the Olympic gold in 2004, and then he circled back all the way by 2017, and he won the gold medal at the World Champs. So, you have those examples. Tiana Madison, in the long jump, she won the gold medal in 2005 in the long jump at the World Champs, and then she won the gold medal in 2015 at the World Champs, right? Even going back to like Carl Lewis, like he won gold in 1983 and then also in 1993 at the World Champs. I think different events, though. Or no, he won bronze in 1993. But you get my point. It's few and far between in terms of athletes who have won medals a decade apart, right? And specifically gold medals, Trayvon Bromell. And I think people are sleeping on him because of some of the other athletes in the field. But Trayvon, he's in this conversation. Jeremiah Zhu, he's the second sleeper, and I think he's the biggest sleeper in this field. I honestly think Jeremiah Zhu is the biggest sleeper in this field that people are kind of writing off for a couple different reasons, right? He won the gold medal last year. He ran 6'4'9". So based on that time and based on the landscape now, people look at that as like, okay, cool, 6'4'9", but Jordan Anthony, he's running 6'4'3". Trayvon Bromell, he's running 6'4'7". So, with your little 6'4'9", enjoy what you saw last year. That's what I think people are kind of looking at. And of course, now we have 3 high-quality Jamaicans in here between Kashane Thompson, Brian Lavelle, Akeem Blake. So people are like, Jeremiah Zhu, nah, like you had your time, go back and play with other guys. Nah. I think he's a very big sleeper. We've already seen him run 6'4'7" this year. So he steps up and he understands the landscape of the event right now. So he's definitely going to be a big problem. I think he has the potential to get to 6'4" low. And I know, well, I don't know, people may come at me, but like, I think Jeremiah Zhu, in terms of running a 6'4" individual performance, he's proven himself more than someone like Kashane Thompson has. Because indoors, this is for me personally, do as you will, if you believe differently, but indoors, Jeremiah Zhu has proven himself to be able to consistently run 6'4s. He's run 6'4'7" this year. He ran 6'4'9" on 2 occasions last year. Listen, I think he's proving himself. So he is a big sleeper. Do not sleep on Jeremiah Zhu. Do not sleep. And yeah, I also do wonder though, kind of on the flip side, I wonder if there's pressure for him to actually medal, like pressure that he may be placing on himself and maybe others might be placing because of that aspect of him winning gold last year, but doing it against a quote unquote weaker field. This is a high quality field that Jeremiah Zhu is going to have to beat out to be able to win the gold medal or to just get on the podium. So I wonder if there's some pressure there, but do not sleep on Jeremiah Zhu. He could very likely win this whole thing. Now, I'm not predicting him to win, but he could win, right? Don't be surprised if we're on here on Friday talking about British gold medal. Again, I'm not predicting him to win, but we'll see. Just to be clear, Jordan Anthony is my favorite for the gold medal. I think I'm picking him to win the gold medal, but anything can happen. Just the two other main guys. So Brian Lavelle. I think Brian Lavelle, also kind of the next sleeper. He has a lot of potential because similar to Kashane Thompson, I'm just not sure of, he's only run one indoor 60 this year, the 666, and that was it. So I don't know. I'm a little mixed. I'm a little mixed in terms of like what to expect, but I do think he has a lot of upside because he's young, and the way that he's been finishing his races. Yes, he has lost to Kashane in both the races this year, but we'll see. We'll see. Brian Lavelle, a lot of potential. Very, very, very strong potential. He could really surprise people here. And then Akeem Blake. I think after Jeremiah Zhu, Akeem Blake is the second biggest sleeper. I think it goes in order of like sleepers: Jeremiah Zhu, Akeem Blake, and then Trayvon Bromell. Akeem Blake is, I think, getting overshadowed now entering these World Indoor Championships because of the other Jamaicans, because Kashane Thompson and Brian Lavelle are more high-profile Jamaicans based on what they've done outdoors. But indoors, I think Akeem Blake, he kind of has, again, this is for me personally. I'm like thinking as I say it, but like for me personally, I think he has the edge when we're talking about an indoor 60 meters. Now, granted, I don't know what exactly is going to happen on Friday. Again, all the men's 60 meters is on Friday all day, 3 rounds. But I do think Akeem Blake is a sleeper, and I would not be surprised if he is able to pull out the gold medal. Remember, he got the bronze medal in 2024 behind Christian Coleman, Noah Lyles. He's run 6'4" indoors on a couple different occasions. He won the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix and the Millrose Games this year against high-quality fields, right? Against Jordan Anthony, right? He beat out Brian Lavelle in New York City. He beat out Eloy Benitez. Like, don't sleep on Akeem Blake. Do not sleep on it. Well, I mean, he's a sleeper, so by definition, he's, people are sleeping on him. But listen, everyone has their eyes on the other Jamaicans. I think Akeem Blake could do something special, but we'll see. I think similar to the women, all these top 5 guys, I'm sorry, these top 6 guys, excuse me, these 6 guys, these are like the guys who I expect to make up the podium, right? And I expect them to make up the final and then have 2 other guys actually join them in the final. But I would not be surprised by any combination of these guys in the final. Now, for me, Jordan Anthony, similar to like I was saying, Julian Alfred is the favorite. I think Jordan Anthony is drastically less a favorite in the 60 meters than Julian Alfred, but I do have him as a slight favorite because of that consistency in the 6'4" range already, against, decent competition as well. So we'll see, but anything can happen. Anything can happen, right? And the big thing, don't sleep on Jeremiah Zhu, don't sleep on Akeem Blake. So we'll actually see what actually does play out. Now, shout out to Eloy Benitez. He got injured last year, but he is looking to, potentially get on the podium. You're looking at Eric Cardozo. He ran the 6'49" outdoors. He hasn't been consistent. So I'm going to pause on, expectations for him. Iliev from Bulgaria, he, ran a big personal best, a 6'5" this year. You have Burnett, you have Ali Balushi. He has been relatively consistent in the 6'5" range, so I do like, him. Iliovsky, he also has been looking good this year. Emmanuel Esame, he made the final in 2025. So this field is good. This is a very, very good field that I'm excited for. I don't know, yeah. I don't know. But again, these 6 guys, these are the 6 guys that I think we all should be looking at. But I don't know. What do we think? What do we think? What do you think? So listen, Brian Lavelle to win, 2 Jamaicans in the top 3. Hey, I ain't mad at it. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Oh yeah. Have you seen the World Athletics poster for the men's 60? I was actually trying to bring it up, but my internet is kind of sketchy. But yes, I did see it. And yes, they had They had Jordan Anthony, Kashane Thompson, and did they have Jordan Anthony, Kashane Thompson? Did they have Trayvon Bromell? or they had Brian Lavelle. I forget. Sorry, but I know they had Jordan Anthony and Kashane Thompson on that World Athletics poster. But yeah, I don't know, man. Jeremiah Zoo is the defending champion, and I mean, I don't know. But maybe they put, yeah, okay, maybe they put Trayvon. Cross check me, but I don't know. Because they were the top 3 in the world. I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's up there. Jordan getting any medal is a win. He's not experienced, so I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't make the podium. I'll actually be shocked if he wins. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I agree that getting any medal is a win, but you would be shocked if he wins. Interesting. But I can understand. I do speak about loving experience more, but when I'm looking at this field, I guess yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking Trayvon Bromell and Jeremiah Azu and Akeem Blake, in my opinion, have the most experience out of these guys when talking about the 60 meters, right? Because they have medaled at indoors. They have consistently run indoors. Brian Lavelle and Kashane Thompson have not consistently run indoors. At the times they have run, they either haven't looked great or they've lost even just this year, right? Jordan Anthony, I think because he's run consistently fast this year and he was able to beat out Trayvon Bromell and some good guys this year at Tyson and USA's. I think that's where I'm giving him the edge. But as I noted, it's like a slight edge. So, okay, so this race will be classic photo finish. All of these competitors go hard. The times will be crazy if they all give their if they give it their all. Yeah. Hey, listen. I think Trayvon is my pick. He's really in good form and he seems locked in, experienced and informed. He's taking this. Hey, I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. I think this will be the time for Trayvon to get on that podium for sure. We'll see. 6'4" will win this. Yeah, I think in that range, right? I'm not going out on any limb to say like 6'3", like 6'3", like I'm not predicting any of that. I think 6'4" mid will win this. That's what I think. 6'4" mid to high, I think, right? 6'4" or 6'4" to like 6'9" in that range, I think we'll get the gold medal. Too many people are sleeping. Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. Too many people are sleeping on Azu, in my opinion. I think you could pull off an upset. Absolutely. Do not be surprised if we end this, if we get to Friday night and it's Jeremiah Azu won the gold medal. Or it's like Trayvon Bromell or Akeem Blake won the gold medal. Who knows? Kashane Thompson, the Mad Lion, willing, worthy, and ready for greatness. Hey, has Azu run 6'4" No, he hasn't run 6'4" but the only person in this field who's run 6'4" is Jordan Anthony. No, I'm sorry, Trayvon Bromell. He ran 6'4" my bad. Akeem Blake ran 6'4" indoors. But Trayvon Bromell 6'4" in 2023, and then Jordan Anthony 6'4" this year. But I don't think that matters. I think the competition is more important than the time in this race. Like, yes, the time factors in to a degree, but the competition is here. Like, it's heavy. Yeah. The heats are like all the way in the morning, and then the semis are like much later at night, and it's like semis and then finals. So yeah, so we'll see. Trayvon is my pick, but it's a shaky one only because he's not won in recent years when the lights are on. True. I mean, so yeah, I know last year he missed the team. He got 4th place at USA's. He was injured in 2024, injured in 2023. 2022 he did get on the podium at the World Outdoor Championships. And then 2021, he made it to the semifinals at the Olympics. So it's been mixed, but I don't know. I ain't mad at it. All right. Kashane has never trained for the 60 meters before until now. So the Kashane you have seen run the 60 is going to be a different person that's coming this weekend. This is the same for Brian Lavelle. I mean, maybe, but the thing is, I can only go based off what I've seen, right? So they have been in training. So they are training, and what I've seen from them indoors this year has not equated to give me full confidence that it's like, okay, I'm confident that they're 100% going to win. As I've been saying, all 6 of these guys, any of them can win the gold medal, in my opinion. And any of them can be on the podium in any capacity. But if I'm just parsing things out and going based on the information that I have, that we all have seen when it comes to an indoor 60, I can't really give Brian Lavelle and Kashane Thompson the edge. But I want to be very clear, that doesn't mean that I think they're going to bomb out or they're going to finish last place. I'm saying that they can win the gold medal, right? Either of them, Kashane Thompson, Brian Lavelle, they can, but we'll actually see it, right? We got to actually see it. Yes, the schedule is crazy. Yeah, the short turnarounds between the 60 finals and the semis and the final. Yeah, it's barely an hour, but it's very similar to like what they do outdoors for the 100. But the only difference is you have the 60-meter heats in the morning. So, it's tricky. But I think that sprinters do generally like that shorter turnaround so they can like it's almost like that race is a warm up. Like the semifinals is like a warm up, get their body moving, and then going into the final, just an hour plus later. So, we'll see. We'll see. All right. So, yep, the schedule. Um, okay, so Shelly to 2012 and 2022, she got gold in the 100 and silver in the 200. Yeah. Right. Silver in the 200. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Both. Oh, yes. At the Olympic Games. So you're just talking about Shelly and getting her what she did in the 100 and the 200. Yeah. Gold in the 100 at the Olympics in 2012 in London, and then silver in the 200 behind Allison Felix, and then 2022 gold in Eugene, and then silver behind Sharika Jackson in 200. Yep. And then 2013 she won the double, right? 100 and 200. This might have been in reference to something we were talking about earlier, but I forget the context. My bad. All right. Family. Anthony has a great start, and he holds a transition better. Yeah, not mad at it. He does. He's relatively consistent. I would say Trayvon has a slightly better start. Not slightly. Trayvon has a better start than Jordan Anthony. Even Akeem Blake has probably a better start, but Jordan Anthony does have a very good transition, right? So that'll be interesting. But Trayvon does too. But I don't know. It's going to be competitive. Yeah. Akeem Blake has been low and under the radar, right? Low and under the radar. Exactly. So this is what I'm saying. For Jamaicans, Akeem is the most experienced indoors, and that's what I factor in relatively, heavily here. Now, again, as I'm saying, the guys who are highlighted here, all of them can actually win the gold medal. All of them can be on the podium, but anything can happen. Anything can happen, right? All right. Any idea why Tyler Floyd didn't run much indoors this year outside of the 4x4 relay? Between him and Christopher Miles Williams, Canada is kind of a powerhouse at the indoor 400. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not very familiar with Tyler Floyd, so I'm not actually very sure. But I do think Canada has a strong 400 contingent coming up, right? They do have a strong 400 contingent coming up. I forget and I can't search because my internet is not working properly for whatever reason. I don't know how I'm able to stream, but let me see. Oh yeah. Okay. Hold on. No, I got it. Let me see. So I know that in 2000 and I'm just trying to remember. Yes. Okay. Tyler Christopher. This is who I was thinking of. In 2005, I remember in the 2000s, Tyler Christopher was he was a really consistent 400 guy for Canada, and he got the gold medal at the World Indoor Champs in 2008. So shout out to Canada, man. I've been making some moves. So yeah, shout out. Two Brits in the final. Just wait. I mean, who's the other Brit? I know it was they didn't bring Glaive. They brought Jody Smith, but Jody Smith hasn't been running that well this year. He hasn't been oops, my bad. He hasn't been running very consistently. So I don't know. But I think behind these six, anyone can make the final, right? Anyone can make the final. So I ain't mad at that. Akeem with a new sponsorship, Inspiration to Win, absolutely, with that new on sponsorship. I think Akeem Blake will be the Jamaican to do it. He has a point to prove, absolutely. He's been getting disrespected, kind of got pushed out of the big three outdoors, right? Kashane, Oblique, and Akeem. But now Brian Lavelle kind of stepped in and took his spot. So, Jordan, Kashane, and Trayvon on the poster. Okay, Jordan, Kashane, and Trayvon. Yeah, they are the three fastest in the world. Of course, Kashane ran that outdoors, but one is a potential phenom. The other two have a collection of outdoor and indoor medals. Absolutely. So that makes sense. Okay. Again, your outdoor resume and overall championship resume matters when it comes to discussions and marketing. Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, in regards to Jeremiah Zoo, that's a good point. Trayvon, Brian, Jordan, Kashane, Akeem, Jeremiah. That's my order from first place downwards, all separated by around 5 hundredths of a second, 5,000, right? Hundreds, yeah, 5 hundredths of a second. So Trayvon Bromell, Brian Lavelle, and Jordan Anthony. That's your podium. And then you have Kashane, Akeem, and then Jeremiah. Interesting. I'm mad at it though. Again, anything can happen. Anything. Trayvon's only really choked at Tokyo 2021. You can't blame the man for running 9.84. Yeah, absolutely, man. Running 9.84 and equaling his season's best, yet missing out by a hundredth of a second. 100%. That 100-meter final at the USA Championships was one of the fastest in history. And like, it's like, what are you supposed to do? He literally ran 9.84, one of his fastest times of his entire career, and he missed out. It's like, I agree. I agree. He didn't like choke there. So no, completely agree. May the better man win, sit tight and expect unexpected. That's why they run the races. Absolutely. We're going to close out with these last 3 comments. Lavelle is a big sleeper. He just needs to believe it. The Jamaicans only need to figure out that the surface. They are the most talented without an indoor facility. Yeah, listen, Lavelle is a sleeper, and he could really, surprise people here. But we'll see. We'll see. Where we'll be able to watch the races. I think on after I finish this live, I'm gonna put it in the description. I'm not sure where you're able to watch in the United States. I don't want to say I don't want to say something. I know if you're outside of the United States, you can watch. I'm pretty sure on World Athletics, they may be likely streaming on their YouTube channel, or on the World Athletics website. I think it's like Inside Athletics. But in the description of this video afterwards, I'm gonna put it. I'll find it and I'll put it up. So my bad about that. And then, oops, where are we at? Yeah, Tyler also got silver or bronze at World Outdoor Champs in 2005. Yep, he got the bronze in 2005 at the World Outdoor Championship. So that, yeah, Tyler Christopher was cooking. He was a guy back in the day. If Kashane don't run as if he's peaking for the 60, I don't see him even making it to the final. Ooh, that's interesting. Ooh, that's a bold prediction, but I mean, I guess anything can happen. I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't make the final. I think the big thing is like, talking about Kashane Thompson. So I don't know, but we'll see. Okay. So we'll close out. Appreciate y'all. Apologize for the connection issues. Whole bunch of connection issues, but I appreciate y'all kind of like holding through. Quick preview here. Again, I'm pretty certain that I'm going to get this 200-meter video out tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Tomorrow or Thursday, definitely before World Indoors, because like Indoors is about to be over. So I'm gonna get this out, and then potentially I may go live after the 60 meters on Friday. I need to like cross check my schedule, but because I'm in the US, it's happening in Europe, so it's like midday-ish, but I'll let y'all know. But I'm excited, y'all. I'm excited. Yeah. Oh, Will Floyd. Yes, from Georgia. I forgot about him. That's true. He won indoors last year. He's from Canada. Potentially he was injured. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll see. And then yeah, Kashane just needs to keep his head down. Don't get uptight, upright. Yeah, we'll see. But yes, time for a great weekend. Well, appreciate y'all. Thanks so much. If you didn't already, make sure you like this live stream, like it on YouTube, and yeah, we'll be potentially back on Friday. But World Indoor Champs, we got it, y'all. Thanks for watching.